welcome to the DL Gaming Podcast. I'm Bobby.
I'm Nick.
I'm Amanda.
I'm bewildered by our new technology. We are completely remote now. Samantha said, no more Bobbies in our house. And now, so we split up and we're doing it all remote. But that gives us some abilities that we did not have before. I believe Christian can give me bunny ears at any time in the video. And I don't know, what else can we do, Christian?
You're not boiling inside of a room, inside your garage.
That's true. Or freezing. Yeah. The more temperature regulation.
Yeah, and now you don't have to worry about a heathen holding a mouse the incorrect way in your house, you know?
Yeah.
Through the entire podcast. I had to put up with that through the entire podcast every season.
It gives me nightmares. Dude, I was there for one day once, and I still have nightmares for it.
If you don't know what we're talking about, Bobby holds his mouse in a claw fashion, which sounds cool.
I would like everybody who listens to send in pictures of how they hold their mouse, and we'll see who the
You're asking for some dangerous pictures, man. We're gonna get literal mice being held.
Good.
You don't know our fans. They're so weird. But we love you.
So what abilities did we get? Christian, what can we do?
Well, it won't show up on the live show, but basically we're using Riverside, so that lets us record all the audios locally. So even though it's a remote show, it should still sound like everyone's in the room. Also, it's just easier to communicate over Riverside. Discord does this weird thing where it like chops off what you're saying as soon as you start speaking. But Emilio, if you were to start talking now about, your love for, I don't know, something you love, smashing rocks. We could talk at the
very
same.
Smashable.
Exactly. And it's more of like
it's fluid.
A great flow. So that's what we're hoping to do here, but still in test, so sorry if anything fucks up.
We're still figuring stuff out, and the audio quality is going to get better. So I've already ordered some more hardware. I figure I'm building a whole new computer. Why not throw in USB audio interface, new mic? Why not? So my audio is definitely going to improve, and we're going to work on improving everyone's audio in their space. So it should sound a lot better as we figure this out a little bit more. But
yeah, Emilio's paying for everything, by the way.
It'll also open us up to more things like having guests on, remote guests, and a few other things that we have yet to figure out. But I think it's going to be good. It's going to be a lot more flexible.
If you haven't figured it out yet, Bobby has actually won the lottery, and so he's just buying it all. He went from not buying a 99-cent game to buying thousands of dollars of equipment. So good on him.
When you open the floodgates, this is what happens.
He's going from a 1-bedroom studio apartment to a 2-bedroom studio apartment.
Yeah.
Hey, man, that's goals, That's good.
In San Diego, it's about $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Video games, anyone?
Yeah, let's talk about those things, man.
Well, first I want to take a moment for anybody that is listening to just keep an eye open. I'm going to be creating a poll today and posting it in a DLG planning channel on Discord. And so this is, it's about that time. We're thinking DLG probably in the fall. Like I'm going to put in the poll as well what month would work best. And so we want to hear from the community. We want to hear you guys, what you guys think, where you want to be, what's important to you. Do you just want to party and have fun at the house, maybe catch up on some sleep because the kids are a lot, so you just want to nap and hang out with your bros, or do you want to go up and hit out the town? So I am putting together a poll, and so just keep an eye out for that. We're going to get DLG planning started and going, and it's going to be exciting this year as it is every year.
It's going to be pretty dope. For audio listeners, you didn't get to see Emilio's butt as he got a drink from the refrigerator, but everyone else.
If nothing else brings all the boys to the yards, it will be my butt to come see it.
This new setup, you really get a peek into the personal lives here. It's going to be quite revealing.
That's Riverside / personal butt.
Speaking of butts, who doesn't have a butt is Phantom. What is that all about?
So we're on the radar, and wow, you destroyed that whole thing. All right,
it's been a while.
We're on the radar, and those are games that have come to our attention, but we have not played. That is Phantom Brigade, and that's by Pironical. And I've got a lot of things on my radar because my highlights is pretty weak because I don't play video games because I have no time. But I was pretty excited about a lot of games from our Discord, which is also called, we have a section called On the Radar where you can post things that you're excited about so that maybe we can become excited about them as well. So Pyronical put this up, and yeah, like I said, the game is called Phantom Brigade, and it's a mech combat game that has a lot of customization. It's almost like you can't make a mech game without swapping out pieces and parts. If you did, I'd just be like, I don't want it, you know. So that you have to have that part. And then second of all, it's a turn-based tactics game, and they have this way of playing it where I guess the idea is, and it's in the storyline, that you have a technology to see a couple of seconds into the future. So you get to see what the enemy's going to do, and then you react to that. And then you'll play it out, and then it'll play out the little bit of battle, whatever, 5 seconds, and then the whole process starts over. And then you can go and actually you can go back to that 5 seconds or whatever it is, 10 seconds, and scrub through it and look for how the enemy's reacting to certain things that you're doing and stuff. So every segment of action can be reviewed and fast forward, all that stuff, so you can actually see how effective you're being and stuff like that. Also, the upgrades of your parts are scavenged from your enemies. So the less you beat them up, the more intact parts you get. So you might want to punish them until the point where the pilot ejects, and then you're left with the full mech. So you want to destroy, but not destroy too much. So that a whole bunch of good stuff in this game. It's 85% right now. It's having a 1.0 release. I think it just came out of early access, so they're having a 1.0 release sale, which is 20% off, which I believe is like, oh, there it is,
$24.
$24. I might be picking this up, but like I said, my gameplay, it's really picking up at work, so I don't have a ton of time. And but man, it's on my wish list.
This looks dope.
It does look
up
super
my
dope.
alley.
It does look
I
pretty
love
good.
tactical RPGs, and this looks really sick. I love too that you can scrub and go back and then kind of see in real time, in a sense of going back in time to kind of change your decision and move forward from there. And that's really awesome.
Yeah. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of good ideas all implemented in the same game.
I like the idea of mech games, but I have yet to really get into one.
This is the one, Bobby.
Hopefully the one that Armored Core, aka the guys who made Elden Ring and the Dark Souls series from Software, are making Armored Core again, and it's been like a fucking decade, and it's like they're promising it's going to be like the best mech game of all time. It's a very fast paced, but also a game that you can play pretty slow as well, depending on what kind of mech you make. So you can be like a little fly that like bounces around and shit, or you can just be like the super slow tank. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Who's next?
I mean, we don't really have a set order, but I will talk about some major news that was released today, of all things. Today being the 5th of February. So Richard Lewis, who's known for like following Valve and getting leaked information and a bunch of stuff like that, is announcing Counter-Strike 2 is coming out, and that the beta most likely will be coming out this month in itself. Some other details that were revealed was that they're getting 128 tick servers, which are really important when it comes to like responsive times and things like that. When for Counter-Strike, which is also like a Twitch shooter in the sense that people play professionally and you got to be pretty accurate. People are asking for the game to have Valorant's anti-cheat software, but they're saying that eventually the game will get Faceit services, which is like an external matchmaking service that apparently punishes cheaters and then also matches cheaters with other cheaters on purpose, which is interesting. It's going to be weird to see Counter-Strike 2, especially running on the Unreal 2 engine, which came out in 2015. And the only
It's going to be weird to see a Counter-Strike game without cheaters.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully that shit works,
Yeah.
But I would love to play Counter-Strike again, especially in a new atmosphere with new guns and stuff like that. Because I think if they do release Counter-Strike 2, I think it's going to be the same base game, but they're going to change some of like the guns and things like that. So it's going to be interesting.
Man.
But
Wow.
yeah, no screenshots, no video or anything. This is just stuff that got leaked, and it's got reported on Reddit and Twitter and all that, and all over the place. Funny enough, fucking Forbes has it on their website.
Damn.
So, yeah, that's what I got for this week for On the Radar.
Can we get a confirmation that's on Forbes, Christian? Because hey Nick, you should kind of be our video game gossip guy, because everybody expects you to be wrong anyway. You know.
No, I have the link in the show notes, so yeah, it's there.
All right, awesome.
It's in the show notes. All right. I just want to point out too, before we move on, that I'm noticing in Riverside that we're all using our Christian names here, except for one person who is using the screen name.
Well, when your name is Lauro, first of all, and then Emilio secondary, you go with the cooler sounding one. I don't even think English like sounds good, actually.
You know what I realized? That's the male version of Laura, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Correct.
Just occurred to me the other day.
But very uncommon, dude. Like,
yeah.
Even in Mexico, it's just like
this is some deep lore, dude. I didn't know.
I mean, Emilio's mom used to have a really uncommon first name as well. Like, you're talking like levels of first name, like Margaret. Like no one names their kid Margaret anymore, and things like that.
Well, my girlfriend has a name like that.
Old lady names like Barbara, like Babs.
Before, when we were setting up Riverside, Bobby joined the session, and then he quickly left, and I was like, oh, there must be a problem. And then he rejoined, and his screen name was something like XOXO sexy hunk underscored XX. But when he joined, he didn't say anything. He just had like this half grin on his face, like he was waiting for everyone to fucking know.
It was the greatest fucking prank that Bobby's ever pulled in his mind. He's like, I'm going to be Cyberstud 69. No one will notice.
Because it gives you an option to name yourself when you do join this. So yeah, I guess you just put anything there. And
hey Nick, are you now in Texas?
No. We're staging my house, so the office is like we're gonna be like taking photos and stuff, and so we're gonna go ahead and start staging it soon. And then I'll be moving to Texas. My timeline to move to Texas is like late May, early June.
Your TTT time to Texas?
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, we lost Amanda too, by the way, for anyone listening. Dropped out. I know she's had challenges with her internet, so hopefully we'll get her back.
She's currently in like internet purgatory, for those who are wondering. She's in Pittsburgh, and she lives like in some sort of weird castle. And yeah, she just can't get good internet there for some reason or another.
So
she'll make it back.
Yeah, I've got a lot of things on here, so I guess I'll go next. I had a patch quest. I almost didn't put this on here because I didn't understand what it is, and it looks weird, and it is weird. I read about from the developers. Where's all that audio coming from? Is that us?
No, I don't hear anything. I think that's your computer.
Yeah, it was me, but I had it turned down. Anyway, yeah, I'm not looking. Can you click on it, Christian? You are back.
Perfect.
I've clicked on it.
I'm not seeing it.
Oh. Minor difficulties. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah. So this is a hard one to describe. They said that they made up they had to call it a new genre because it's such a mix of genres. So they call it a pet catching Roguevania. Yeah. So roguelike, Metroidvania, and there, a little bit of Pokemon in there, or Temtem. But it doesn't look like any of those things when you see it. It looks like a bullet hell. So you're like this little paper cutout character, and you have a lasso, and you can lasso certain enemies, and when you do, you get their abilities. But I think you have to stay lassoed with them for that, or something like that. It has this very interesting look. And I think I would have left this off also if the reviews weren't so great. It's overwhelmingly positive. It's like 97%, 96% with very few people, but still it's doing really well. I think it's worth looking into. It's kind of quirky. But I'm intrigued for sure. I'm sorry, I'm doing a terrible job of describing it, but it's like this top-down bullet hell with like all these other things going on with it. What did you guys see the art looks like? Kind of like
it's like Paper Mario meets like Stardew Valley meets like Scribble Knots.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers that game.
Scribble Knots. Man.
That's funny. There was another
impressive.
pet catching game that came out or is coming out soon. It's called Pal something. One word, starts with Pal, and the pets are called pals, but it's also a mix of like a shooter and some other stuff as well. But it looks totally different from this game.
The pet catching is kind of becoming like roguelike, I think, a little bit, where it's just a feature of a game or something they can put into a game more than just the genre itself. But I don't know. I'm intrigued. I really am. What's the price on this?
It is co-op, by the way.
Oh, co-op as well.
Yeah. Ooh. So you can probably play with Mila or Sam or
11 American dollaroonies, 11 Uncle Sams. That's what you guys call them,
pretty
right?
Cheap.
11 decals.
Nice. Okay, that other game I was talking about is called Palworld, and that has way better or more sophisticated graphics, and it's kind of weird. When I was watching that, I wanted to bring it up on the radar, but I didn't put it in the notes. But I guess we could just kind of tack it on to this conversation because the game's kind of similar. But you catch the pets and then you put them to work. And there's this shot in the trailer on the Steam page of this cute little creature in the back of this like caged wagon being dragged into like this horrid looking factory. It's kind of depressing.
Jesus.
Yeah, dude. It's pretty brutal. But
Christian, this is the part where you find the game and show it to us.
Savage.
He's busy, man. He's got things to do.
Oh, sorry.
But, there's nothing preventing you from doing it on your computer now, since we're all sitting at computers.
I tried that, and music started blaring at me, even though I had it on mute.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah. Go to like a minute into the first trailer on Palworld, and that's the shot I'm talking about. But it's also got like, you look at some of the other shots, and it's like a straight up third-person shooter, and yeah, so a lot going on with that. And I really wanted to get into a pet game. Yeah, Palworld.
Like pal, like hey pal.
Hey pal.
Oh, I thought you were saying pow. I thought you were saying Palworld.
This isn't Step Brothers. You're not going pow.
Pam.
By the way, all these animals that you're calling them, they're all inspired by Pokemon.
Yeah, it looks like a total Pokemon ripoff. But yeah, it's funny. I really want to get into a pet game, but I have no interest in Pokemon, so I keep trying to find it elsewhere. And I know Temtem was pretty popular, but there was a lot of criticism of the game later on, I think, with some DLC or some decisions they had made.
What is
well, it
this?
also just
This is
fell
so
flat.
strange.
So, like eventually, Temtem fell flat. Like once you got to a certain point, it was just kind of like it. To me, it got boring because I played quite a bit of Temtem because I am a sucker for Pokemon shit. So this is great.
Is this Pokemon for adults? You have like a fucking rifle. You're like putting metal slugs in fucking Pikachu.
So this is going to be some gaming gossip. I'm just going to, preface that now, as Emilio has now suggested. This was on Reddit quite a while back. Someone was like, I'm going to make an adult Pokemon game that's a third-person shooter. And, this is the result, I believe. Like, obviously there's copyrighted materials, but there's a monkey holding an AK-47, and he helps you shoot other Pokemon. And then you can hold Pokemon and use them as a weapon as well.
Well, these are pals, all right. We can't be saying Pokemon. These are our pals.
Sorry,
to murder people.
Game Freak is gonna come over my house and cut me open and fucking make me look like a Snorlax.
It's interesting to apply like Pokemon logic to like a real world situation. Like if there was Pokemon who just generated free energy, like if there was a Voltorb, they would be locked up in like factories and just producing nonstop energy for us.
They don't create energy like independently at all. Actually, you have to feed them.
Sorry.
Oh no.
Wait, you just have to feed them, so they're like chickens. But I'm saying like Pokemon would be used.
Oh yeah, no, they would totally. Oh, imagine all the war properties as well. Oh man, you're telling me that people are not going to be flying around in fucking Charizards burning villages? Come on, man. The world would suck with Pokemon in it. People fucking suck.
Maybe I should just play Slime Rancher 2. I think
Slime Rancher 2 is the way up.
Speaking of Pokemon, though, I did finally learn how to play Pokemon, the card game, the tradable card game with Mila. She's always collected the cards, but never really knew how to play. And for Christmas, Chad got us a starter set, where you have two rival
decks.
That
counter each other.
Exactly. They're supposed to be built to go against each other. And you can tell right away the entire thing from the ground up is just built to it's a pay to win model, 100%. If you have better cards, you're just going to win. That's all there is to it.
There are in that game, so it's called power creep, right? Which is the idea that cards in card games like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh eventually will get stronger. Like the most basic example in Magic is a 2-cost 2/2 bear, which means you have to pay 2 resources to get this creature with 2 power and 2 defense. Well, nowadays, because it's been 30 years since that bear has been released, now you can get cards that cost 2 that are a 2/4, and it's just outright better. There's no reason to have that bear, and Pokemon is definitely one of those games. There are cards that are just make all the other cards obsolete, and it's I don't know. I've looked into the Pokemon trading card game, and it's very much a pay to win money making.
Does this not happen in Magic? I don't know anything about either, but is this different from other card games?
So in Magic, it's not exactly as pay to win. It definitely is in a sense, right? There are decks that cost $1,000 in standard, which is like the game mode that most people play. And then there's decks that cost $70 that can do just as good as those $1,000 decks. But the thing is, like, Magic also enables people to essentially play different formats. So if you don't want to invest $500 into a Pokemon deck or $500 into a Magic deck, you can play something called Pauper, or you can play Commander, or you can play all these other things where you just pay a small amount or just a small really entrance fee into the game itself, and you can play
it forever.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's much less. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I also don't really remember Yu-Gi-Oh being so pay to win either. Like Pokemon, definitely. Magic, I would argue to an extent, depending on how you're playing. Like if you're just playing standard and you're limited or something, you know what I mean? Like if you're limited to like a specific series, then it could end up being, I could see it end up being like either the pay to win or not, but I don't really remember Yu-Gi-Oh being so pay to win.
So Yu-Gi-Oh's not as Yu-Gi-Oh is not as paid as a win as Pokemon. The thing right now in Yu-Gi-Oh and it's always really kind of been with Yu-Gi-Oh is that there is always one mechanic that will dominate all the others.
It's Blue Eyes White Dragon, right?
But no, so right now in the Yu-Gi-Oh world, the ultimate mechanic is the ability to stop people's processes by countering them. And just like imagine everyone, Emilio, being blue players, everyone wanting to interrupt what people do.
Gotcha.
Because in Yu-Gi-Oh, one of the strongest abilities is to be able to look through your deck with certain cards and choose cards to use from that deck.
Yeah, that'd be strong anytime in any game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so right now,
unless it's Pokemon, where you play a card and you just draw 8 cards. It's so dumb. It doesn't cost you anything. And you're like, you're basically just digging to get to your most expensive card is what you're doing.
Exactly.
The whole game is just based. So whoever has the more expensive card wins, or more expensive cards. I didn't tell you this. So I went to work, came back. Hey, can we play? Sure. Hey, these decks have been modified. She took all my good cards, put them in her deck, and then she messed up There's no, I had a metal deck and she had a water deck or whatever. All my metal cards are in her water. Nothing works. It's all discombobulated. I'm like,
I gotta respect the hustle there, man. Like,
oh yeah. She beats the living shit out of me. I'm like, there's no way. Because I told her the night before, I said, I've been playing this for 20 years. There's no way you'll ever beat me. But as I beat you, I go, but me beating you will get you better, and you'll be ready for your schoolyard friends. And then, I came home and she beat the living shit out of me. And I just sat there and I said, "Are you having fun?" And she's like, "No, this is sad." And I said, "Yeah. I mean, you ruined the game. So you're gonna have to
Jesus, dude.
meticulously put this back together. So
it was a lesson moment. You ruined the game. Moment. Congrats.
Yeah.
You've ruined Pokemon.
So back to video games.
Bobby, what's Deep Rock Galactic Survivor?
I've never heard this game. What is Deep Rock Galactic? Is that about
boy.
mining or something?
It is, but this is an entirely new game based off of Deep Rock Galactic. This is actually not made by Ghost Ship Games, although they are publishing it. I think this is the first time that they are acting just as a publisher, but it's being made by Fun Day Games, which if you look at them, they've made another game that graphically looks a little similar called Don't Die in the West, but it's very different than Deep Rock. So Deep Rock Galactic Survivor is a new Vampire Survivors-like game.
Oh.
It is only single player, which is unfortunate, but the added twist is that not only are you trying to kill a bunch of bugs by just running around and doing stuff, you are also trying to mine stuff as well. So there's another layer on top of that. I don't know if there's active abilities in this. I think it might be passive, just like Vampire Survivors and what's the other one? Soulstone Survivors.
Soulstone Survivors.
Yeah, which in my opinion was the best one out there right now.
They keep working on it too, Bobby. It's improved since you've played it. It's probably my number one Steam deck game. Every time I travel, like I just did, yeah, it's perfect for deck. Is this multiplayer?
It is not.
No, he just said it was single player.
Yeah. It's single player.
It almost looks like a Diablo clone to me, though.
It does, yeah, a little bit.
Because usually in these vampire survival games, you don't have structures or like walls, and this seems to have walls. I guess that's what you mine from. That seems to add another layer too.
Yeah, it's like the cave. There's a path that you go along. It's not just a wide open area. So it looks like they're doing some things different. Yeah, kind of, but it's passive. So like you get an ability and it just shoots in random directions without you having to do anything.
That is the Vampire Survivor thing. Okay, all right, gotcha.
There might be some active abilities. I'm not sure. Like there's all sorts of upgrades that you can get for your character, and there's 4 playable classes. This isn't out yet. It's going to be in early access 2023, so who knows when that's going to be. But lots of weapons, bosses, and it's Deep Rock Galactic, so of course I got to check it out, right? Like graphically, it looks pretty close to the style of Deep Rock Galactic, but it's a top down, like an isometric view, like all these Vampire Survivor games are. It's kind of weird to see it that way, see the game that way, because everything else seems so familiar. But yeah, I'll 100% be checking this out, just because of the brand, I suppose. And it could be good. Like this could be, I was always saying like the next thing they need to do with Vampire Survivors like games is the co-op, the multiplayer. But even though this doesn't have it, it looks like they're still doing some other things differently, and it could end up being really good.
Bobby, I'm going to correct you one more time. I coined the phrase, and I would like you all to follow. It's a vampire survival game. Vampire survival.
Okay. Well, I'm using it because PC Gamer. I found this out from an article.
No, fuck them. We are the final word on coining terms. Vampire survival game.
We make the decision. We are the decision.
What did they say?
DLG bump.
What did they say, Bobby?
They called it a Vampire Survivors -like. That's the terminology they're going.
That's so lazy. It's so lazy. We're going to do that from now on. Every time there's a first, we're just going to call them all the like. Well, you know what I say? I say their podcast is a DLG-like. Yeah, right. That's what I say.
They're going to have an Emilio-like and a Bobby-like and Amanda-like and Christian-like. That's what's going to happen.
Right.
They're just going to copy everything we do.
Speaking of vampire survivals, I have Star Survivor, guys, and this is from Tattooed Terror. Man, good job on the radar on our Discord this week. I really liked a lot of them. There's one I didn't make it on there, but I'm gonna get it next week. So this is another vampire survival game. I'm going to enunciate extra on my own coining. It's you play as a starship which kind of like makes a lot more sense than everything else in a person running around in the field to me. But apparently, it has tons of upgrades, tons of different modes and stuff that you can play. And people were talking about the FTL. There's a little bit of FTL in it, because when you're selecting what sector to go to next, it's like a branching path. And I guess more of the stories revealed that way. But I don't know. I dig the spaceship part of it a lot more than a lot of the other ones, just because almost all of them are high fantasy for the most part, and this just makes more sense. Like, you're adding more things to your spaceship, and it looks flashy. It looks good to me. It's got good reviews. I think it's like in the 90 percentile right now or something. Yeah, dig it. And if it's cheap enough, oh yeah, that is really cheap. What are we talking about?
$4.50.
$4.50.
All right, that's spot right now. I'm gonna buy it right now.
That's
Live.
cheaper than 2 Red Bulls.
Live on the podcast.
Right, live on the podcast.
Bought.
What do you guys, Amanda?
Awesome. Well, it came to my attention through the Jew for You group that there is a game out there. I think it was released a while ago, but they've updated it and have it modified. And there is a Counter-Strike / Call of Duty 4 game that's out there, essentially, from Roblox. So it's free, it's browser based, and it's called Frontlines. And so the gameplay for it looks really good. It looks like everything that you miss about the older Call of Duty games. It looks right out of it. It's awesome. So I want to play it. I tried to play a little bit of it. I downloaded the Roblox launcher and everything, but it's hard to play games like this when you're in a Bermuda Triangle of internet in Pittsburgh. So much like the Three Rivers coming together, I'm just in a dead zone, so I'm having a hard time playing any shooters, including this one. But it's definitely on my radar because it looks awesome. It looks like fun, and I put the link to where you can find it in our show notes. But right now we're showing some gameplay of it, and like I said, to me it looks like it's straight out of Call of Duty or Counter-Strike. And so it's awesome. I think for a Roblox game, this looks amazing.
Yeah, looks good.
Wow.
Do you guys remember when the developers of Fortnite, aka Epic Games, tried to make like a Roblox clone, essentially, where you could make any game mode you wanted? And we
played it on the podcast.
Yeah, Emilio tried to force us to play it, and then it's still shit now.
Was it
Core?
Was it called Core? All I remember was Bobby complaining that he had to grow his buckets bigger and bigger. Like that's.
Oh no, dude! I got caught up in one of those games where it's like
a clicking game, wasn't it?
It was like a clicky game. Like you need to bounce higher and higher, and you get to these different levels, and the only way you bounce higher is like by collecting balloons. It was the most mindless bullshit.
Is it time to go back to Core, or is it like pulled from the store, no longer exists, kind of as a failed experiment? I know nothing about it, so
I was stoked about it, man. I thought there was a lot of potential there. Yeah. Because a lot of games do come out of Roblox. We might not think, but also only a few of the games that come out of Roblox actually say, oh, this was inspired by Roblox. How many games were started inspired by a game on Roblox but didn't pay any homage to Roblox? There's tons and tons and tons of games on there, and the best ones rise to the top. And then it doesn't even, if some game developer was like, let's just go take the most popular thing from Roblox and make a game out of it, they don't have to say anything to anybody. They'll just do it.
Yeah, there's
and I'm sure that's happened a bunch of times. Yeah.
Same thing with Gary's mod in Trouble in Terrorist Town and a couple in Prop Hunt. All that shit got essentially not pirated, but the IP kind of got stolen from the extra custom game mode creators for those. It's kind of sad too, because someone worked really hard to make those mods and to make those game modes, and then all of a sudden someone's just like, yeah, I have a multi-million-dollar studio, and then I'm going to make a game and then make way more money than you ever received in donations or Patreon or whatever.
Yeah,
but
Roblox development is kind of problematic too. Have you guys seen that little mini documentary by Quinn?
Nope.
I have not.
It goes into the Roblox ecosystem and how the company only lets kids pull when they've earned $1,000. But before they earn $1,000 from their game that they made, that lots of people in Roblox are playing and who are purchasing like in-game currency through their game, they start like push notifying them about like, oh, the latest cosmetic costs like $990 real dollars or whatever, and they'll constantly like flood these kids' Roblox experience with these pop-up ads, and they want desperately for no payout to happen, even though everyone plays Roblox for the custom games, right? Like
Exactly.
Right.
it's kind of morally wrong. Yeah, it's just straight up fucked up.
I will say this, that games on Roblox are played on the playground. Mila plays games, like, what were you playing? And we were playing Kill the Stranger or whatever. I was like, what is that? And it's like, that's a Roblox game, but we play it on the schoolyard. And like, that's probably the more wholesome version of what we're talking about,
Yeah.
That's pretty
That's
awesome.
amazing.
And the kids are getting exercise. And I was like, explain it to me. And it had like it was pretty complex. You see, like, there's a base, and the killer has to be inside the base, but she, the whole thing, really long list of, and I was like, it's complex, but it sounds fun. She's like, it's so fun, Poppy. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Mila,
Anyway.
are you gonna tie up all your friends' shoelaces wrong and fuck up this game too?
Wow.
Wow. I took Bobby's shoes.
Well, I mean, moving on to highlights. These are games that we have played. Bob, you talked a little bit about Deep Rock Galactic or was it Survivors? Yes, but I want to hear you talk about Deep Rock Galactic again.
The original game.
We don't get enough, Bobby.
Yeah,
we're literally here.
Literally
for
is
that.
the original game.
Who knows? Nick might talk about fucking Warhammer today. We don't know. Maybe Amanda will talk about an indie game, and Emilio will get drunk. It's the same podcast every time.
Not a lot of surprises here. But yeah, I'm just going to make this quick. So Deep Rock Galactic had a new update, but in this, because it's their 5-year anniversary, they released something called the 2018 Legacy Edition, which is the original version of the game that was released in 2018. And you can play it. It's for a limited time only, but you can play it right now. And it was... I had completely forgot. I'd been playing this game since the beginning, since early on. And I had completely forgot what it looked like. It is just visually so sparse. It's just so barren. And yeah, of course, a lot of the mechanics are weird and there's just not as much in there, but it was just really weird to go back and experience that again. I did it for like a couple hours and I was like, okay, yeah, we don't need to do this anymore. Then I played, the actual Deep Rock Galactic. Other than that, there's not a whole lot else in the update. It's just the usual stuff. Although I did realize that I missed out on this really cool hat. It's the flamingo hat. And apparently something happened last summer where you could get it, some sort of event. So yeah,
you could have been living your Palm Springs fantasy, dude.
Well, it's an inflatable flamingo. Like those inner tubes with the flamingo on it. It's like one of those, but it's a hat. And when you run around, it wobbles and stuff. It's got great physics on it.
Hilarious.
Do you think that more games could, like, especially ones that did have an early access period, Bobby, should do something like that, like the legacy mode? And the only reason I bring that up and kind of harp on that again is because obviously WoW Classic did the same thing.
Yeah, but people wanted WoW Classic.
Nobody wanted Deep Rock Galactic 2018.
Well, everybody, like me, I'm their most ardent fan, but like I had forgotten about it. I went back and played it and was like, oh my God, dude.
This is ass.
I mean, it's still good. You can tell the core gameplay is still there. Like it's still a solid game. The thing that I always remember from that is that each class had a specific type of armor that gave them some sort of immunity to a certain type of damage. So the driller, for instance, if you upgraded his armor fully, he became immune to fire damage. So he was really strong in the magma levels, and you could sit on a volcano and it would blow up and it wouldn't even harm him at all, not one bit. The engineer, I think, had poison resistance, and the scout had fall damage resistance. So they were a little more niche, but yeah, I mean, that's the one thing I always remember and I thought was kind of cool, but everything else was just like, oh my God, I can't believe it used to look like this. It looks like, it looks like very early access, but I think they're kind of doing it just so they can kind of brag and say, hey, look how far we've come. And they really have come a long way. But yeah, it's been kind of hard to play games this week because I'm in the middle of building this new computer, and I actually just got the hard drive in the other day, or today, in fact. So I have all the parts that I need to build the computer, but because I'm taking the power supply from the old computer, like I've got to make sure everything's ready to go before I make that switch. And I'm not sure when I'm going to do that, but it's coming along pretty nicely. In fact, I've got it sitting behind me here. Let me see if I can get a shot
hard
of it.
drive.
For those wondering, while Bobby is getting his case, Bobby's house is
wow.
Ooh, very
He's got a nice case.
It's a nice
That's a
motherboard
nice
and big
case.
fan.
That's a nice case.
It is big and heavy, dude. This is, oh my God.
You make sure no one can steal it.
Could you lift it up one more time with both your face the camera and just like close shot up of your muscles?
Give us a good side angle too. Let's see those biceps.
Give us 15 reps, 15 to 20 reps if possible.
Just take off your shirt while you're at it too, Bobby.
That's not great audio, but it is like it's just a bulky machine. And my big focus on the last build that I did was like something quiet and small and unnoticeable. But
now you built a fucking steam engine.
Yeah.
I don't know. This thing is just like, it's not even that it's just big. It's just like the fans are big and they're deep, and like everything is, there's a lot of thought put into the cable management. Like it's coming along really nicely. I'm pretty impressed with this. The only thing I'm a little iffy about is the torrent case. The Fractal Design torrent case comes with, I guess, a fan controller. It's this little chip where you plug all your fans into, and then you run cables from that to your power supply and to your motherboard to, control the CPU fan and also give it power. And I've never trusted fan controllers that came on cases. Every time I've had one in a case, they've always failed on me, and I end up just plugging the fans directly into the motherboard. So I don't know. Maybe I need to let that fear go and just embrace this. And I see why they do it on this case. They do it so you can connect everything in the back, and you don't see any of those messy cables in there. Of course, it's like it's not a windowed case, so you don't see anything in there anyway. But you want good airflow. But it's I don't know when this thing's going to be live, because I'm realizing what a big endeavor this is turning out to be. It's not just building a new computer and like, there we go. Like, I've got so much stuff to transfer. I've got to reset up so many things.
Building a new life, right, dude? It's like,
it is, man. It is. It's like, I don't know. I use my computer for a lot. It's like part of me. So this is like a really big change.
New PC, new you, dude.
Yeah.
New year, new you, new PC.
You said something interesting before. You said your other computer was built to be quiet and unassuming, and this new computer is robust and likes to experience life, goes on trips. So I'm just wondering, is there some sort of poetry to these computer builds? Are they echoing a series in your life?
Yeah, it's just something. It is possible, but I will say I'm not. There's no RGB, nothing like that. It's completely black. It's all stealth. It's even like all the fans, like everything is just blacked out on this thing. So it's still, in that sense, very similar to my old machine. I'm just not a fan of all the blinking things. In fact, I always do this on all my computers. I don't plug in the HD LED or the power LED to my motherboard, because I don't even like those lights blinking. I buy Asus routers because you can turn off the LEDs on those. I just don't like blinking things. Unfortunately, the Tascam USB interface that I bought is going to be blinking on my desk, but you know what? You can't be perfect here.
Can't have it all, Batman.
Can't have it all.
Well, you're describing your case, and all I can imagine is Batman, dude. Like, he's dark, he's sleek, he's sexy, he's mysterious.
I mean, my keyboard, which
a punch.
She gave me so much shit about. I mean, there's my keyboard right there. You can see there's no print on it, and it's just completely black, and no pictures, nothing fancy. And
dude, someone's gonna rob you and be like, "This guy's a serial killer."
You're really going against the millennial RGB like fantasy, dude.
Oh yeah.
RGB, get that shit out of here.
Bobby, you have all the hacker stuff without being a hacker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what you know. A good
hacker.
hacker.
Yeah,
hacking the school,
so I think.
changing your grades.
Oh my god.
Bobby told me, he's like, I can change the lettering on all the high school football electric signs. He's
Oh,
like, I don't do it, but I could.
But I can.
I have the power.
You don't know the power I wield.
Home of the welcome to the home of the big dicks or whatever that you wanted to put on there.
oh my God.
Man.
Well,
Yes.
Speaking of big dicks.
well, all right.
Yeah, no,
damn
you go,
it.
you go.
You took my
No,
fucking
you get it.
transition. I was gonna say, speaking of some big dicks, Demeo, I played.
It's the exact same transition. I love it.
I know it was the same one. So I was like, shit, dude. Yeah, I played some Demeo with Tag Loro. We wanted to check out the new map that was there, which I think it got released in like December, so it's not that new, but it's new to me, okay? And maybe it's new to you. And they have this like new map out there where you're kind of going through like this cute, it reminds me of like a Bavarian village kind of thing. And you get to like the end of it and it's almost like you're versing another dungeon master, which is crazy and wild and it was so difficult. They have a new character as well, the barbarian, who does like some really cool fucking tricks. Like he can launch a chain and it's like a grappling hook and he can jump all across the map, which is just nuts. And it was so much fun. This game to me, like I love this game very much because it's every time they add a new map and a new character, like it's just so engaging and it's a lot of fun. I feel like this is just literally like D&D online with your friends, but kind of different, obviously, because it's its own thing. But yeah, you verse this guy that they're showing right now. It kind of looks like some Lich King guy, but he's got these hands that come down and fight, and it was so difficult because he's like another player actually, but is controlling his own characters onto the board and fighting against you, which was I thought a super cool and unique mechanic. And he would change the board up too, where he would just create these extra walls in the map that you had to fight and go up against, and then you can see him with his own hand like lifting stuff and moving it around, and then like he would come down, but he's sitting up on this like throne watching over the board, the map, and then he was picking up like enemies that were some of the bosses from the previous maps and throwing them into the map. It was super fucking tough, and there was just 3 of us for a while, but then Tag and I did, because now they have it where you can play with 2 people, and you each control 2 characters, which I really, really enjoy and love that they have that, because it is nice. Because sometimes, you just have one homie that you want to play with, and you both can have 2 people and have like an actual stacked stacked party and actually have a chance. You know what I mean?
And
beating a lot of these things.
not just that, Days, but like when you're playing with 4 players, a lot of times you get distracted because you're waiting so long for all 3 players to go, and then now it's like you're constantly having to have a turn.
Absolutely. Yep, for sure. And sometimes I think the downside to it, I guess, is it can be kind of confusing, maybe. Like if all of your people were together, it can be kind of tough. I'd imagine, especially in VR as well, like grabbing the right character. So like if you're bundled up, you know what I'm saying? Like if you've got the whole party just like on the same like 4x4 square, then like it can be kind of just it's like a minor thing, like you're just like, wait a second, oh shit, I'm playing the bard this time, not my archer, right? And so but I definitely think this new map is fantastic. I mean, it's super fun, and there's these new things they have, which are like these summoning stones that get popped up in the map, and you have like normally it's like 2 rounds, maybe 1 round to kill it before it summons an animal. But they give you like this vortex powder stuff to like completely annihilate it, because it sucks everything in and then destroys it, and it's like a 1-hit KO on those summoning stones. So they kind of have like a nice balanced way with the new system of because they had the rat nest, and they have other things that are kind of similar of like a summoning mechanic, but this one was kind of unique and different, and they're really playing off of this like lich necromancer kind of energy of like a life stone kind of thing of summoning. And I just thought it was super cool. This latest map and character is just fucking awesome, like, because the
Not just
barbarian's
that,
super cool too.
I feel like you like somebody put a good game forward and it's doing well. It's like I'm sure there's a strong draw to keep doing more of the same, but they're really pushing themselves and they're pushing their engine to do things that it hadn't done before. I commend them for that. They're not just trying to do a money grab or anything like that. They're just like pushing themselves, pushing the hardware or the software. It's great. Get
Yeah,
it on
and
them.
And I feel like they've got like at least I don't know, you can feel like the love and passion in the way that they designed it. And like you said, I mean, every time they've released a new map or a new character, like I think that it's pretty different, pretty unique. They're adding new mechanics and new things into it, and just even some little like quality of life things they added. Like each map now that shows you the difficulty of it, so you actually can see which maps are going to be harder and which ones aren't. They have like a skull system. It's like 3 skulls are the hardest, and so it's that just little things like that that kind of help. I remember that they had the little like hangout room where you can shoot bow and arrows and compete against each other, and it was like a little game room. And I've always loved this game partly because it's just they continue to add stuff to it without asking money for it, and it's good updates too. It's very fun.
You said D&D, and that reminded me of two things. One, Baldur's Gate has a release date. It's going to be in August. If you bought the early access version, that's going to guarantee you the full release version and the enhanced edition for no extra cost. So that's always great to hear because I believe that the early access edition is cheaper than the full release. So that's good. And then when you said barbarian with a chain that does a grappling hook, I remember when we were playing Days. I don't know if you remember this. I don't know if you were there. I feel like you were. We were like defending some sort of fort, and we had a murder hole like in between, right, we're at the gates, and we had like archers and all kinds of stuff. If anybody went in this like little archway, they were gonna get killed because we had all kinds of stuff set up. And
A little pinch point.
yeah, a little pinch point. And JP Diddy was our only, he was standing in the thing just waiting for anybody to come in, and he just started because he set up javelins. He had javelins with ropes on them, and so he was just javeling things, pulling them into the murder hole, and he was rolling really high that day, and he basically won the whole battle on his own. We had secondary and tertiary fallback positions. Didn't need
Didn't
him.
even need it. Yep.
Didn't even need it. He just pulled everything we needed to kill into that murder hole. It was awesome.
He was a tank god.
Yeah,
Tank god into the murder hole. Yeah,
Yeah.
do you remember that?
What do you call it?
He's
So
great at
you
pulling
ta-
people in. Do you miss him, Emilio? Now that
What?
John?
Now that you've left Iowa.
Yeah. Do you miss him in Iowa or?
I told Sam it's funny because obviously playing on a folding chair on a laptop is not as comfortable as being at home because I have all my stuff, my amenities and stuff like that. Unfortunately, but fortunately, like we have this, our hobby is not one you travel to. Like fishing guys go fishing, hunting guys go hunting, sports guys go and play fucking whatever sports they want. We do our things. We can literally cut off both our legs and an arm and we can make it to our hobby in the same amount of time, right? So you never really leave home to go game. You're not going to go game. Maybe back when there was lands, but now, going on a gaming trip, like we were uninterrupted gaming for like so long. It was so cool. And it's the only way to do that because home life is going to drive you. So yes, I'm going to buy a goddamn plane ticket. I'm going to fly into the fucking frozen north and and do it because that's the only way to get uninterrupted gaming these days. It reminded me when I was like whatever 19
when you didn't have responsibilities.
Yeah, I shirked all my responsibilities.
Yeah, no, I had a buddy one time. I mean, this was like 2 weeks ago. I was raiding with my WoW group, and they were like, one of the guys specifically, he's like 19 years old, and he's like, why don't you play more often? You only play WoW once a week. And I'm like, maybe because I have responsibilities. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I got a fucking kid and a family and like a house to sell and all those other things. Dude, all you got to worry about is like not even going to school. You just exist and you're going to the Marines.
You just exist.
Like, you don't have a girlfriend. You don't have anything else. Like, all you do is literally exist and take your parents' resources. And he was like, the whole raid was laughing at him. Yeah,
That's
it's
good.
just, I remember those days being like 17, 18, 19, 20, and just like not caring about anything and just playing video games all the time. And, you can have that world, or you can have a life with a family and stuff, or you can have a perfect, healthy mix of the two.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we're
There we
never
go.
going to get enough gaming. Once you mix in the responsibility, the ratio is always and forever going to be off. Christian, you enjoying those cashews or whatever the hell you're saying?
They are they're samosa chips. Has anyone had these before? I just discovered them
Oh.
like a month ago. Like
No.
samosa skin, the skin of a samosa made into a chip, and I'm dipping it in homemade guac.
Like the wrapping of a samosa?
The wrapping of it's so tasty, and they're really expensive because I don't know who makes these. Maybe it's just like someone. I bought it at like a very small grocery store, so maybe they're just.
Is that why there's a
homemade.
top hat in the
Ooh.
background to now? You're just a rich guy that eats fucking expensive taste.
The most
Once he
delicate
eats like 10 of them,
snacks.
he'll get a monocle too.
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you call it?
With
I
our
wanted
new
to
setup,
ask you
we
guys
can
that-
see Christian on camera too, so we all the listeners can see what we see now.
Which is nice. I think that's wonderful. At least King Terran is going to be super happy to get to see his boy all the time.
Yeah.
That's true.
I do want
I
to
wanted to ask you guys
Okay.
though, real quick, like, are all of you guys playing Baldur's Gate 3 when it comes out?
Oh, 100%. I'm very much looking forward to that.
That and
Same.
Diablo are both day one plays for me.
Perfect.
Oh, I wanted to talk about that. Thanks for reminding me, dude. I watched like 15 or 20 minutes of Diablo gameplay, and I was very happy with it, like everything that I saw. It
Are you happy
looks
with
like
Are you happy with the changes where the game's not focused on keys anymore, or not as focused on keys anymore?
Well,
Like,
I
there's a
don't know,
lot
dude.
more. There's a lot more RNG to the game now. There's a lot more like random things and world events and world bosses that can happen.
Yeah, it seems like an MMO to me. Did you get that sense when you were watching?
Kind of. And if that's what they're going for, more power to it. I just hate how repetitive Diablo 3 was. In the sense of like, all my friends are like, it's season 23 in May. And I'm like, cool, man. Like, is it still tornado meta? No, it's fireball meta. I'm like, dude, okay, that's what I don't like. Everyone is playing to get the same type of armor and the same runes with the same characters. It's not even fun. But
Yeah.
if you incorporate actual randomized things, and you're not hoping for this unique situation where you're like, okay, I got to have double speed and a power pylon and all this other shit, and then I can actually, complete this key. It's if Diablo 4 can change that formula, they will have a lot more players and a lot more players playing longer.
I
Well,
also
just
feel
saw
that from what I saw, it seems like they're taking a little bit from Wolcen, and they're taking a little bit from Last Epoch, where you can like really dial in your abilities. And yeah, like you said, there's world bosses where you like you need a bunch of people to come in and help you, like 20 people to kill this boss. And that's why it reminded me of MMO. I don't know how those people are going to collect. Like, do they virtually spawn and you have to get a group together, or
I think it's
maybe
gonna be
while you're playing, probably a pop-up pops up, like there's something nearby or something. I don't know.
I think, yeah, they haven't explained too much about it. From what I've seen, I think it's going to be sharding, just like in a WoW, where you don't like the whole server doesn't exist at the same time, so it doesn't flood the actual like servers and things like that, and waste RAM for the servers. Instead, the populations are broken up into little shards. Like 400 people can be in the same location, but as an individual player, you'll only see like 10 of them.
Yeah, right.
Unless you party up and then you see the person that you're partying up with.
Micro instances
Exactly.
of the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and WoW they call them shards, which it is a good workaround to flooding servers and like DDoSing and things like that. And I think they're probably going to do the same thing because it's tried and true. It's really hard to mess up sharding, so we'll see.
I wasn't excited at all, and then I watched this very well done video, and might have been sold. I not like day one, but my eyes will be on this week one for sure.
Yeah, that's where
100%.
I'm at too. Like I don't trust it enough to pre-purchase it, but I am keeping a close eye on it because it does look really good.
So a day one purchase for me was actually Sons of the Forest, and I got to play quite a bit of it. About 6 or 7 hours, which is pretty unusual for me. Luckily, my raid in WoW got canceled halfway through, and we ended up playing Sons of the Forest. Man, oh man, if we want to harp back to what we were talking about earlier when it comes to like visual upgrades and mechanical upgrades in games, from the forest to Sons of the Forest, holy shit. A lot of the core gameplay is still there regarding like, chop down tree, build house, go kill mutants, go, hunt for food. But the way the game actually looks and feels, and the building mechanics and all that shit is just been pretty much overhauled. You do have if you play solo, and even if you do play with a team, you have this little homie. I forget his name, but we call him Kyle.
I thought it was Kelvin.
Kelvin, that's his name. Yeah, I keep calling him Kyle. Anyways, he's deaf and mute because he fell out of a helicopter essentially, and he's got brain damage. But he will essentially do whatever you tell him to do, and which is really nice. So, like, let's say that you and your friends are just by yourself, and like you got to go do something, and you need like a stable supply of fish. He will go fishing. But the thing is, the actions that he completes does affect the world. So if he overfishes something or overfishes an area, that area for fishing will be sparse from that point on. And so it's pretty interesting. They kind of made the game a little bit more Metroidvania style in the sense of, in this game, the way the enemies are and like the way that the actual items in the games are revealed is by going into these cave systems and like other unique locations. And this is not really a spoiler. One of the first items you can get is a grappling gun, right? Or a zipline gun. That's what it is. And so with the zipline gun, you can then go into another cave, which you can get a scuba gear system and like a respirator and like an air tank. And then you can go into another underwater cave, and then it just keeps going on from that point and that point and that point. But the thing is, the game does not hold your hand with it. Like, you will go into a cave and you'll be like, all right, I'm ready to fuck all these mutants up and like, do all this crazy shit. And you get in there and there's just a giant puddle of water, and you're like, oh, this is an underwater cave. The graphics and everything in the system has looked amazing. There were moments where I was playing, and I'm running on max settings on all of it, and I was just literally walking through the forest, like trying to go hunting, and I was like hunting a deer, and I would just stop and I would just look at the trees and everything. The seasons change, and in the forest and in the Sons of the Forest, the longer you are alive, the more intense the enemies get, and the more often they attack. So you can't really just turtle or kind of like build a little shitty shelter every now and then. Like, you kind of have to build a base and kind of have to survive as long as you can. The enemy types in this version of the game, we haven't seen a couple of the new ones, but some of the older ones and some of the new ones that we have seen are very unique and very fun to fight. If you're looking for a new crafting survival game, or even just if you want to call it a horror game, yeah, no, this is definitely the way to go. It's super fun. The story is just kind of like a placeholder for you to be able to get items and meet characters and things like that. I would definitely pick it up, especially if you have time to, kind of play for longer durations of time. Because these kind of games, if you're only playing for like 30 minutes to an hour, you won't get much done, in the sense of like, it won't be very fulfilling. But if you can play like 2 or 3 hours straight, where you're like trying to start a project and complete the project, or try to complete a cave, and the cave might be 2 hours long, it really does require a big chunk of time to be able to play this game. Like, me and all of my friends, we are like planning on the next day we will play, and how long we'll be playing it. So it's interesting. I like it a lot.
Wow.
Spooky, is it?
I mean, it looks amazing. I'd love to play this with you, Nick. Probably, I don't know, if you're free later today, then maybe today. But I am, you know me, I'm a chicken shit, man. I saw that like slinky looking human centipede goddamn cannibal that they just had like running around. Or what was it, like ass to ass or something? And they're just like slinking around. That thing is terrifying. I think I would scream if I saw that.
You're probably not going to even want to play after the first cave then, dude, because it is scary as shit. There were multiple times I was with 3 other dudes, like 3 other 30-year-old dudes, and we're just screaming like children the whole time. We're just like, there's a fucking thing with like 10 arms over there, and it's like it's fucking terrifying, but it's fun. It's really fun.
So Emilio, are you gonna pick it up, and then we can both see how far we can make it into the cave?
Spook off?
Nope.
Nope.
Bobby, would this be your first survival horror game you pick up in a while?
Maybe, man. I really hated the first one. I
Really?
did not. Yeah, I thought it was just so garbage. I think it got a lot better. It was
Yeah,
right
we played
after,
early on, Bobby.
Yeah, no, the early forest was rough, man.
Yeah, I played right after they added the multiplayer, and that was a big deal because there wasn't a lot of games that. Well, I guess there was Rust and there were other ones, but they were all terrible. Well, yeah, I don't know. There
Ark was
wasn't like a
pretty good.
survival like game or survival game. I'm putting like at the end of everything now, like an idiot. But there's not a lot of
Okay,
survival
PC
games
gamer.
quite like it. But I don't know. I was not impressed with it. So I kind of had a bad taste in my mouth from that game and was reluctant to ever check it out again. But I don't know. It looks good. Maybe I don't like surviving crafting games in general. So I don't know if it would do it for me.
Yeah.
Well, I
it's
got
definitely a
it,
survival
Bobby.
craft one.
I'll be the brain. You be the brawn. You go in the cave. You kill everything, and I will build the perfect base for us.
I will be
I'm
there.
I will say this: us recording earlier does leave us a lot more time to play afterwards, which is
Mm.
kind of nice.
Yeah.
That's true.
But Bobby, we can buy this for 2 hours and then fucking throw it
Yeah.
away. You
Well,
know what I mean?
I'll be building a computer after this.
Oh,
so.
sorry, dude.
Yeah, man.
Jesus Christ.
I actually
Don't you know
have
he's
to-
busy whenever you want to hang out? Just at those specific times.
Whenever
He's so
you ask him
posh,
what he's
dude.
doing, he instantly comes up with something to avoid.
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
I don't think you've ever detected that pattern, but it's definitely there.
He's just too busy.
How much is this game?
I think it's $25.
25.
It's pretty cheap. I was surprised how affordable it is. I would have thought it would be like a $60.
$29.99.
Yeah.
I am going to be heading out right now. I love you guys. I won't be on the show next week, but I will be on the show the week after that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, bye, Nick.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah, that's the downs. So there's upsides and downsides to this, like virtual thing. Upside is I get to go pee and hear everything that's going on because I have the mute button and I'm wireless. That's great. I was over there making a burrito. It was great. And then Sam, but the downside is Sam's going to come home right now and we'll see what the noise levels end up being.
Oh, what a perfect test,
Yeah, apparently Luna has to
Fun.
poop, so they want to come home.
Wonderful.
Well, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
speaking of perfect tests and the test of time, you want to tell me about Returnal?
Yeah, so that is my game that I'm playing for sure. I'm really enjoying it. The combat is incredible. There's games that trick you into thinking that the combat is more than it is. It makes it flashier and like maybe like Hi-Fi Rush is one where like it makes you feel like more is
Going on than is.
yeah, exactly.
I see what you're
and-
saying with this.
Yeah, and Returnal is not like that. Literally every move you make is so important. And you end up looking like an anime movie, like doing crazy shit, but none of it's fake. Like your dodges are real dodges, your attacks are real, your melees are real. Like there's no helping or hand holding, which makes it so much sweeter when you actually do some cool shit, which is common. I would say like almost every fight, I'm like, I can't believe I fucking did that. It looks so sweet when I just did that. I do have a story because I only played one game this week. So I had the best run I've ever had. No, second best run, because my first run was crazy. This is much more roguelike than roguelite. There's not very much that carries over, like very little. You do not get stronger in this game. The only thing that happens is you get the Metroidvania type unlock key, which would be like the sword. With the sword, you can open certain doors, and with the grappling hook, you can get across certain chasms. Those are the only things that are persistent. Everything else, there is no strength at all. So that where you get stronger. So I'm fighting this boss, and I was like, this is so cool. I was like, this boss has kicked my ass so many times, but I was like, Mila, come over and watch this because it's pretty cool. She's like, all right. So she sat right there, and I'm playing, and it has 3 phases, and I got it to 5% of its 3rd phase, and it kills me. And I was like, fuck, no, the head down, the eyes over the hands, and I put my hands down, and she's like, Papi, it was so close. And then she goes, you're still alive. I forgot that I had picked up like an extra life. Basically, is basically how it works out. And I still got hit again, but I had enough to fucking finish it off. And I was like, oh my! Has she not been there, and has she not told me? Like, I was like, dude, you were a good luck charm, and I gave her a high five, and it was awesome. It was a really cool thing. But go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, how often do you pick up like an additional life thing? Because I started playing this game and I thought it was absolutely gorgeous and so cool, but I fucking hate roguelikes and roguelites or whatever because of that. I don't want to put all those hours in and then die and have to restart it and keep restarting it and keep fighting the same boss just to beat him. I'm not a glutton for punishment like that, at least personally.
It is a punishing game. It is so hard.
Yes.
So there is no guarantees you're going to get an extra life. So the criticism that I took away from the PC gaming review, I think, was that like you can explore the entire world, the entire level, then go to the boss and be worse off than you would have been had you just went straight to the boss.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Because everything in this game is like a risk versus reward. 1, how much time you spend in the level because you're going to get damaged. 2, every parasite, which are these creatures that you attach to yourselves, gives you a plus and a minus. 3, there's every boon comes with a chance to give you a malfunction on your suit. Everything is, and it tells you this is a moderate, this has a low chance of malfunction in your suit, so this has a very high chance. And then you could even play within that, there's artifacts that give you like the more malfunctions you have, the stronger you get, but then obviously you're hurting yourself. Everything in this game is risk versus reward, and that's one of my favorite mechanics. It might even be why I like roguelikes in the first place, is the risk versus reward, and the whole game is just built off of this. So yeah, obviously this is almost like a game tailored for me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I kill this boss and I get this red key. I was like, the red key for the red door. I've never been able to. So I run. I'm like so excited because I finished the whole level. I killed everything. There's no bad guys in the whole level. I'm having so. Oh, and I did some of the most insane anime style attacks to pull this off. Like, dodge, dash, sword swipe, back dash, machine gun, just like fucking sick shit. So I was like feeling really good about myself, and I'm running through the level, dashing and trying to look cool. Oh, I just broke
no. Wait.
Is that a good analogy to what happens?
Does life imitate art? Yeah. Does life imitate art, dude?
And here's the worst part. I'm barefoot right now.
So
it sounds like you got a roguelike going on right now at home in real life.
So
just up in the wrong spot.
A risk versus reward for this story, dude.
So I'm trying to look cool getting through because I feel so awesome, right? I'm trying to do cool like moves, trying to get through the level. I fall off a cliff. I take a little bit of damage. No big deal. I'm flashing, but it's okay. There's no bad guys in the level. I jump right into a fucking trap trying to fucking look cool. And the trap kills me, and no more red key. The whole thing falls apart. And just like right now, I have to be very careful about my next step.
There's nothing that would make this better. This segment that you did was just fucking perfection.
That was great.
Unlike Returnal, I'm going to call Sam to come help me with her superpower of shoes that protects
Well,
her.
I mean, that's the nice thing about Returnal too, though, is that you can play with a homie, right? You can play with one person. You can do a co-op, just kind of like you and Sam tackling that broken
true.
glass shard of dreams
It's
on
true.
the ground.
Oh, now the cats are coming up.
All right, you do what you got to do, dude.
Okay. Yeah.
I did want to say one more thing. There was a DLC called the Tower of Sisyphus, which is just a straight wave survival. It takes away all the story, all the exploration. You just go up a tower and just, it's constant combat, which is the best part of this game. Hey, get out of here. And
nice.
And it was free on the PC version. You just have to get the grappling hook to get over to the Tower of Sisyphus. So that is awesome. I haven't played it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Somebody take the reins because I need
that'll be
to
cool.
try not to bleed from my feet.
I don't feel. Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of blood and bloods, I played this ridiculous game. I bring it to you, every week or the weeks that I'm on. We got a weird fucking indie game. I got a weird one for you this time. It's great. It's called Hood Warfare. It is the story of Detroit got so bad with crime that all the cops and everybody left it. And all that's left is a gang warfare between the Bloods and the Crips. And so there's not really Bloods and Crips very much in Detroit, from what I know in the history of the gangs. It is absolutely, it's an LA thing. Yep, the Bloods versus the Crips. However, they've had such an influence in a lot of other gangs across the United States that there was 7 Mile Bloods for a while, and there is a West Side Crips. So like they kind of have them, but they're kind of, I don't know, like I wouldn't say like old news, right? But like it's not as prevalent as obviously you would see in the Bloods and Crips fighting each other in places like LA or Texas, or I think Maryland was another state that still has a lot. But anyway, this is a lot like this is probably more like Counter-Strike, and it's just shitty Call of Duty. It's made by one dude. Trapstar Games is just one guy. I joined their Discord. There's 23 people on it. This is indie as fuck. This came out like at the very end of January. It hasn't been out for super long. It's got very positive reviews. It's like $5. It's pretty cheap. There's a lot of different modes you could play. You can do Turf War, which is kind of like a King of the Hill thing. There is Free for All. There's free for all in the sense that like every man on his own. There's also just like essentially a team deathmatch thing that is, there's the Bloods versus Crips, and there's different maps, and not a single fucking map is actually like Detroit. So I think they just used some fucking city skin that's not Detroit. None of those maps to me look like Detroit at all. But this game is hilarious, at least just worth listening to the trailer because the narrator is pretty funny. And it's ridiculous. However, I will say that it's pretty busted. Tag Loro and I were trying to play, and Tag Loro couldn't even play. It cannot play on 4K monitors. So if you have a 4K monitor, don't even waste your time buying it. It's obviously got shitty graphics, but it is also fun. It was just like stupid fun. You can peek and you run around. There's various different guns. You could be running around with a sniper, or you start with an AK and you level up, and there's progression like that. But as far as I could tell, it's really difficult to actually start a game with your friends. Which is such a shame because this is the perfect kind of game that is so stupid that it would be fun as fuck to just join a bunch of friends and like play with a bunch of friends and then just verse bots, because you can play offline and you can just fight bots, which that in itself is actually quite fun. I was having a blast laughing around, just being like, oh, we got another in the op. Like, it's just so ridiculous too, the call outs and shit. And I had a blast doing that, but this game would be so much more fun with like friends, and that's kind of how it advertises it too, is that you can play this with your friends. But it's really, I mean, unless I have no idea how to actually form a party. I mean, we went through a lot of the settings in the main menu and trying to look for how you can actually join up with your friends or your friends join up with you. It seems like the lobby itself is like somewhat busted, but it's one dude that made all of this. And so it's kind of like, I feel like it's, there's a little bit of like a leeway of a pass, but there's just, it's in a sense, underground and ridiculous. The reviews are pretty hilarious. I think I read somewhere one guy was just like, before this game, I was homeless and gay, and now I'm a millionaire with 2 bitches. Like, it's so ridiculous. So this game is super funny for the lulz and the memes. And I feel like if you've got the money and you kind of want just some like stupid fun that's hilarious, like it's $4 or $5, it's not really a lot. So if you want to do that, but if you're tight on money or if you really want to be playing with friends, I mean, I maybe wait and see kind of how this game develops.
It's hard to do gang warfare without your gang.
That's right. Exactly, man. You're trying to do, you're trying to get all the Bloods together or all the Crips together, and you just cripping and pimping by yourself, with a bunch of bots. It's not as fun, but it is still a pretty funny game.
We did say the name of the game, right? Hood Warfare is the name of the game?
Yep, Hood Warfare. Okay.
And the entire time you're talking about that, I don't know if this was on stream, but
yeah,
we were watching Emilio just clean.
I couldn't stop laughing, dude.
Clean up broken glass with a broom.
He's moving so careful. Like, I'm learning stuff from his technique. It's like, oh, he's moving like, what's the slow animal? A sloth?
I think he found a little piece.
A sloth? No, dude. I'm moving like a stalker. Dude, I'm hunting pieces of glass.
No, I think it was more sloth. Fridge. Like when a sloth goes to like an adjacent branch, he moves very carefully, and then he grabs that branch and moves over like so slowly. Specific movements. That's what you were doing, right?
Well, I'm still barefoot. Yeah. It's you got to be very. I don't know. You got to choose your path here.
Yeah.
Anyway, where are we on the show? Is it time for my...
Yeah, so that was Hood Warfare.
Yeah.
Like the warfare going on between Emilio and the glass on the ground.
Yeah.
And I think
we're moving into listener questions, but before we do, we should shout out we got a sub from Recycled 55 months.
Damn.
Big deal.
Whatever happened to my Bobby thing?
It's still
Did
there.
you erase that?
No.
Okay, cool. Now's the time. Bobby, we've heard that you've been a cowboy, an astronaut, you did some upholstery work. I found pictures from all your previous live, actually. Go ahead and post that picture there.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
dude.
I've found it. Is this you? Damn.
Yeah, dude. This is him from all his previous lives, and obviously he had different IDs throughout all his thing. So wow. Sam found that picture, and she's like, "Is this Bobby?" And I was like, "No, I don't think it is."
It looks just like you, dude.
It does look like
him, dude. Yeah, I could see that.
I don't see anything.
The weird thing is that through time, you haven't aged.
Can you put it on the screen?
Yeah, it's on the screen. Yeah,
it's on the stream, but it's not on.
These two tabs.
I know the tabs.
Zoot.
Oh my goodness.
All right, yeah, there we go.
Yo, this is wild.
You know what though? I will say I have one of those faces that I don't know. People always come up to me and just like, "Oh, hey, it's you from the thing," and I'm like, "No,
you're the guy from the Michigan IDs. It's you from the thing."
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, "Hey, I recognize those IDs. My ID looks like that." I mean, I don't look like Wolverine, but.
Man.
Oh my god!
I feel like I'm gonna cut my foot. Okay. What else? Oh, a little plug for our merchandise. It's funny. So right before we started shooting at John's house, I said, "Hey, did you guys see the sales that we made on t-shirts?" And Bobby and Christian were like, "No." And I was like, "Well, I mentioned it on the podcast and it actually worked." And it turns out it was me. I made the sale. Sam bought me some t-shirts, and I'm wearing one right now. Christian can't handle it.
Just the glass thing. It's the glass thing. The t-shirts, dude. You gotta watch out for me, man. You can't be doing this fucking shit.
Oh man!
I'm glad she bought you as a surprise, but because you get those emails, kind of spoiled. Dang, that sucks.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So, but not all the sales came. Somebody actually bought some t-shirts apart from. But anyway, I want to show this one off. This is our BioShock inspired t-shirt, and in blue and in tri-blend, which
it looks great. That one looks awesome.
Tri-blend is the shit.
Yeah, tri-blend.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
She bought me another one. I gotta. I'll wear that one next week. And also, she bought me a Zangief shirt, so she's paying attention. Guys.
Nice. Wow.
Nice.
That's awesome. I bought a Poppy shirt. Anyone who's Canadian or who lives in another country that's not the U.S. and who is going to buy this shirt, I bought the large because that's the size I usually am, and it came from America, and it's like a goddamn fucking circus tent on. Like, it's big. It is big for big people, bigger than me. So just watch out.
Well, I mean, you know that in America we're bigger people. Yeah.
I think height-wise though too. Like, I don't know, but
it's a crop top.
Maybe it came from Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Wait, Christian, when did you buy that Poppy shirt?
A long time ago, before last year's DLG.
I was gonna say
I wasn't one of the confirmed sales.
Yeah, if that was if you were the one other confirmed sale from last month,
that would be hilarious. That'd be so good.
Maybe
anyway,
we have recycled.
Guys, we wouldn't have these T-shirts if they didn't look cool. Go just check them out. It's a link. Go to dlgaming.net.
Stickers. You can get them on anything, man.
Yeah, you can get them on anything.
Good ones in there.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, we got some listener questions here, so let's get to that. First one comes from Schmello. He says, my listener question is more of a plea. Bobby, please play Inscription. I absolutely loved this game. It's an indie card game with a super unique personality, somehow a card battler mixed with mystery, mixed with a roguelike. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I will do that. So, Emilio, you have this game.
I do.
I have your account added, so I installed it. I haven't played it yet, but this is one of those games that it's been on my list for a long time because it's by the guy who made Pony Island. Like I've heard nothing but good things. The reviews are stellar. It's just, I do have to play this game. And I did not realize, I think it came up a week or two ago that this game was a card battle game. And I didn't know that at first. I wasn't exactly sure how to categorize the game, but maybe this week, maybe this will be the week. We'll see. But that's definitely on my list to play.
Yeah, and then if you figure it out, dude, please explain it to me because after 20 years of playing card games, I don't know how the mechanics work. Even though I've progressed, and I'm probably halfway through the game, I don't have a full grasp of how it works. So maybe you can explain it to me.
Yeah, maybe.
Ooh, maybe that'll be the first game that you play on your new PC, right?
Maybe. I do. That is kind of a weird thing that I think about. Like, what's going to be the first game that I play on this?
Jedi Knight 2 Fallen Order.
Yep. Old Man Dave says, okay, Bobby, let's combine two of your loves. Pitch a movie to the others that is based on your favorite typing game. What's my favorite typing game? I don't know.
That's a good question.
Epistory
Type Racer.
Yeah, and how the problem is how do you translate the fast-paced, nonstop action of a typing game into cinema? Like, how do you?
That's what you're supposed to figure. That? I'm trying to listen to this pitch, dude. I'm not convinced. Got to tell you.
Can it be done? I don't know. I don't know. I really liked Epistory. That was probably my favorite one. I really do like House of the Dead, but that's everybody's favorite. So I want to be a little more niche and say Epistory. But you know what's funny? There is a House of the Dead movie, but it's absolutely terrible. It's one of those U-Bowl movies. But I don't know. The only thing I can think of is, what if it's like an interactive movie? What if you have to type in order to progress and there's multiple choices?
That would be no, that's good. I like where this is going.
Something here.
Yeah, everyone has their cell phones because everyone has that, and you connect to like a Netflix with like a Jackbox, and that's how everyone plays the game, and you move through it like that. That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Dog shit. Here, let me. This is how you do it. You do a Squid Games type thing, but instead of physical challenges, you give them typing challenges, and then if they get it wrong, something happens. The computer fucking shards go. They die.
Okay.
They die.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that idea.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Typing death games.
Cool.
Damn.
Speaking about couch co-op,
I think I'm sold on Emilio's pitch. Yeah.
Yeah. He wasn't the
I
pitcher.
never saw Squid Games, but yeah, that does sound better.
Speaking of which, I just broke a pitcher all over the floor. It was actually a Coke bottle. They explode the most dangerously. It's not like a glass where it's big shards. I got millions of tiny diamonds all over floor.
Do they only make glass Coke bottles in Mexico now? Is that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I mean, it
don't
might
think you
be
can
here
get
as
that.
a. Oh, this is something you guys probably don't know in podcast land. In San Diego and Southern California, you can buy Mexican Coca-Cola in glass, which is more highly sought after because it uses sugar cane from a sugar cane, rather than high fructose corn syrup, and a lot of people enjoy the flavor a lot more.
Yeah,
So
it's pretty rare though, even in San Diego. Well, I don't know if I get further down south that I see it more, but I don't usually see those in glass bottles. At the taco shops here and there, like sometimes they'll have it, but it's it's hard to find. Although I think in other parts of the United States, it's pretty much impossible to get Coke in a glass bottle. But
I don't agree with that. I was just at a Mexican market in Pittsburgh and saw them. That you can get them, but it isn't easy either. Like, but it's not impossible. You do have to go to like the Mexican markets though.
Yeah,
no,
so
it's like at
wherever you
7-Eleven
find
here.
Mexicans, you'll find Coke in a glass bottle. That's good to know. It does taste better. I don't really like soda, but I can taste the difference. Pyronical asks, how much do I have to donate to see Bobby get drunk during the podcast? Why are all these questions targeted at me? And there isn't enough money in the world, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that ship has sailed.
Not enough money in the world. So
but he can try, right? He could try.
You can try.
Yes.
I mean, we'll start the bidding at $2 billion. Okay.
Yeah.
$2 billion to Patreon.
$2 billion. Do I hear $2 billion?
Yeah.
Last week we had some concerns because we hadn't heard from Warconius in a while, and that is very unusual. And I believe he left us a little voicemail.
Okay, let's see with this new, fancy technology, what's gonna happen.
Yeah, let's see if it'll play for us.
Hey everyone, it's Warconius. I noticed you guys were wondering if I was alive. I'm alive and well, just busy with work, travel, and then tons of family stuff. And then lots of snow in Vancouver, which is really weird. Don't have a question, but want to let everyone know that Humble Bundle has an amazing games, comics package, and all the proceeds go to the earthquake relief for Turkey and Syria. So check it out. Okay, see ya.
All right.
Cool. Did that come through loud? How was that?
It was a little quiet, so maybe in the future turn those up. But yeah, it's always good to hear from Warconius. That guy is the busiest person I've ever seen. He is always doing something. He's got a big old family, and he's always out there wheeling and dealing and traveling. But Humble Bundle, yeah, that's a really good bundle. He posted that in Discord. It's a great deal, and it's for a good cause. Humble Bundle, they always have these really, really good bundles. It's worth checking out. But shortly after he posted that, he did type out, actually, I do have a question. What are your thoughts on history with the Ghost Recon games, past and present? They've gone through phases originally being hyper-realistic, then Vegas being more COD-like, and now Wildlands. It's basically a more serious co-op Just Cause. Have you guys played the Ghost Recon games?
I only played Wildlands for like 2 hours, so I can't really even speak. Days?
I have not. No, I haven't played any of them.
I didn't even know they did switch to more casual mechanics. The last Ghost Recon I played was, the super hyper-realistic tactical.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I've always assumed they were. I did play one, I want to say it was Wildlands, but I couldn't run the game. I tried to, and I actually had some technical problems, which is very unusual for me. And the game just wouldn't run for me. And I do like the idea of a more serious Just Cause, like a co-op game like that. One of my favorite games when I was younger that I could never play because I just couldn't find people to play with was the old Rainbow Six games. You could play those. Everybody played multiplayer, and that's all they wanted to play was versus. But you could play those games in co-op mode, and it was you would go on a mission, and everybody would play individual characters with their own kits, and you had to slowly go through the level and take down the enemies and retrieve the hostages. and it was like, I don't know, it was like Payday 25 years before, or 20 years before that game came out. You know, it was so cool. I loved it. There was this great level with a pirate. It was like at a Disneyland type theme park, and there's this pirate land themed ride that you had to sneak through. But the problem was nobody wanted to play the co-op version of that game. They just wanted to play the multiplayer. So I don't know. Maybe I'm missing out on the Ghost Recon games, but that's an area that I haven't really played too many games in.
Bobby, the culmination of the original book, Rainbow Six by Tom Clancy, it ends at a theme park, which is probably where they got that from. Great book, by the way, if you ever want to get into Tom Clancy stuff. Tom Clancy's stuff was so accurate that, like, he got investigated by they're like, how are you predicting geopolitics so well? And it's just he just kind of saw. I think he was a student of the game, if the game is the world warfare.
He had a lot of games made after and he had a lot of movies made after his books too.
Yeah,
like there was. He just got turned into a lot of stuff. Workonius also asks, would you ever buy a place in Mexico? I know a lot of people are planning to get condos in PV or Merida.
Puerto Vallarta, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I don't know about that other place. I've never heard of it, but I do know that it's illegal for non-Mexican citizens to own property down there. So everybody that told you that, be careful that they're not all getting scammed at the same time. That you can buy timeshares, you can own timeshares, and you can also own property for limited times. It has to be like 5 years or something like that, and you'll own it, but you have to give it back at the end. So it's like a rental, basically.
I know that you can rent too, right? Because I remember reading articles about like a big issue kind of going on was that a lot of people in San Diego were moving down to Tijuana and then getting global entry and just working from there because rent was so much cheaper than in San Diego.
Tons of people. Yeah. I know a few people that do that, and you use the global entry, you pass in 10 minutes. The downsides are, occasional blackouts. Sometimes your water doesn't work. But other than that, I mean, you can live in a really nice spot that has their own generators and stuff like that.
I know plenty of people who live down there, and it's crazy to me. But then I was talking to my friend who just moved out here from Alabama, and he's like, oh yeah, we had a hurricane and we didn't have any power for five days. And I was like, 5 days? What did you do? The last time that happened out here in San Diego was 2011, and it was for like an afternoon, and it was so weird. I was driving home from work and people were just hanging out in the street like they had nothing to do. And I was like, something's up, man. Like, what's going on here?
What did you do, Bobby?
I tried to read a book and it was horrible.
In 2011, I tried to read a book and it was horrible.
I was like, there's no power. There's, no internet, nothing to do. I guess I'll read a book. And then like everybody, it was like I don't want to say a celebration, but it was like an event. So like relatives came over to my house and they're just like, well, let's just hang out. And so my house was like real noisy and talkative because I got a big family. So I couldn't find a quiet place to read. But it was an event. Dude, like I can describe it in such great detail here, but other people are just like, oh yeah, that happened last week, and I'm just like, really? Like, does that happen in Canada? Do you guys get stormed out and lose internet and power?
Occasionally, yeah. But I found humorous in your description of my whole family comes over and it's a big family, but I couldn't find a quiet place to read. It's just like you'll just throw these twists into your story and then continue as if it's normal, but everyone else is like, wait, what just was
everybody else would have put the book down when their family got there, right?
Yeah.
Hilarious.
My experience with the same blackout was completely different. So it was more than an afternoon, dude. It was like a day and a half which was a lot. The bars were giving away free beer and free food because it was all going bad. Yeah, because I live downtown, so it was a different thing. Everybody walks everywhere anyway. And I don't know how it happened, but like it just got out that I had a bunch of meat. Because I always have a bunch of meat. So I had to barbecue it all because my freezer. So next thing you know, my girlfriend at the time and like, I don't know, 15 of her friends all came over. and it was like 15 girls and me barbecuing meat steak for all these girls. I had a hell of a time. It was awesome. Yeah, it was really cool.
And you two had a hard time finding a quiet place to read your book, right?
It's true. Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Wait, was this blackout in 2011?
This was the Great Blackout of 2011. Yeah,
not to be forgotten.
I don't even remember it because it
No,
happens
this
in
was-
Michigan sometimes.
no,
too.
this was just
We
in
have
San
blackouts.
Diego. That's
Yeah,
what
it
I'm
was
saying.
Oh,
San Diego.
okay. That's why I
This
was like,
happened-
That was a normal day, man, for me, probably.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like this happened once that I can ever remember in San Diego, and it was like we still talk about it. Like, remember that time?
That checks out, dude. It really does. It's probably like the one time you guys had like a big thunderstorm too. You happen to know when that was?
Where were you when the thunder hit?
Well, it's been raining a lot out here, and it's on the news. Like people are it's so funny. They're like interviewing people. Are just like, yeah, it's just so wet out here. It just keeps coming down.
That's hilarious. When I was
I'll
living
never
in New
forget
Zealand.
when I drove. Oh, what?
No, your story. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, I remember when I was working and it was fucking misting. You know, like with the windshield wipers, if you just press up on it, you can kind of manually use them. And you do that maybe once or twice, or I did that maybe once or twice in my 15-minute drive to work. And I get to work and everybody's just like, yeah, it's just raining so much. And if I keep getting weather like this, I'm going to be depressed. And I was like, dude.
This light fucking mist. It's crazy when you go other places though. When I lived in New Zealand for a little bit, and I would turn on the news in their winter, and they would have like a whole half an hour segment on like the frost levels on people's windshield. And they would go interview people like on the road, and they'd be like scraping their vehicle off. Be like, have you ever seen it this bad before? Like, no, this is one of the worst scrapes I've ever had to do. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah.
Yo, that honestly reminds me of when I went to Canada, dude, for your wedding. Because it was like I had just left and the Supreme Court just overruled Roe v. Wade. And like I turn on your guys' news and it's like, yeah, we got a lot of bugs this year.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
bugs are always big problems.
That's so nice.
got a pretty serious bug situation over here.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's fun though.
The Great Blackout of 2011. You mean when Skyrim was released? Was Skyrim in 2011?
It was 11/11/11.
Yeah, it was. That's right. I remember that. No, unfortunately, during this blackout, you couldn't play any video games unless you had like a generator or something, I suppose. But
Yeah.
That's what I was doing during your guys' blackout. I was playing Skyrim.
yeah, probably. Weren't we all back then?
That was
All
so
right,
weird,
that's our
dude.
last listener question. What's everybody playing next week? I will probably be playing Inscription, and I still got to check out that demo of Darkest Dungeon 2, and I hope to make the switch to the new computer, so the next time you see me, it's going to be on the new PC, but I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully everything goes smoothly.
Hope so too,
For
man.
me, it'll definitely be Returnal and maybe that, what was it, Survival Rocket Ship or whatever. I just bought it, so
Star Survivor?
Star Survivor, yeah.
For me, it's probably going to be. I'm gonna try and play that Roblox game, Frontlines. I'm going back to Michigan at the end of this week for a wedding, which means I shouldn't be having internet issues for the next podcast because I will be on it, and I should be able to actually play some games that I can't play here. So I'm craving some shooters, so I'll probably play the Roblox game, and I don't know. I'd like to play Sons of the Forest as well, but I'm not playing that alone. I'll have nightmares.
And for Nick, I'll speak for Nick. He's going to be playing Let's Move Our Life Stuff to Another State, and hopefully that goes well for him. That's a big endeavor.
For sure.
Yeah.
Christian, what are you playing these days?
Oh man, I feel like next week I'm going to talk a lot about Astroneer and this little tavern, this little indie run your own tavern game that I don't know. It's basically an idle game, but I'm having lots of fun with it. So.
Is it Soda Dungeon?
Nope. Called
No.
Tavern Keeper.
All right. I guess that's a show. Speaking for the absent Nick, Christian, Bobby, Amanda, and myself, Astroneer Tits.
Some glass breaking titties.
I played that game. It's pretty good, Astroneer.
the multiplayer?
But yeah, that's the every Tuesday we go on, me and my buds.
That game got a lot better. When I first played it, not so good.
This is the long version of the outro.
Oh god.
Oh fuck.
Extended remix. Just cut it, dude. I'll fade it out.
No, we can't cut it. Okay.
You got it. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
All right. Dude, you missed that was the best part.
Wait. We'll get it next time. Sorry.
Oh my god.
All right, I'm ending the stream. Thanks, everyone. Bye.